Hello and welcome back to another Galaxy of Heroes video. In this one, we're going to do like a complete beginner's guide to farming Sith Eternal. Of course, I did it on my own roster, so I've got like, a little bit of knowledge there. But I've took the time to make this video because I wanted to just do like a big farming plan, mainly for new players getting into the game, especially if they miss the Lightspeed bundle for SLKR. Mainly, so yeah, it's going to cover a little bit of everything. We're going to have like why we want to be farming Sith Eternal, what is he actually good for. We're going to do a full farming plan. We've got what team to use him with, and then where we could possibly go from there, and what kind of routes you can take. So, why are we farming Sith Eternal first thing? Well, first off, he counters some great teams. We're talking Malgus, Gas, Rever, Starkiller, Trey or Omicron mainly, especially since it shuts it down. JML, Rey, and General Kenobi, not General Kenobi, Jedi Master Kenobi in some situations. And then, of course, he's great in proving grounds, mainly on the Malgus tier. He's one of the best best ways to beat that, especially if you have a relic Wat Tambor. So yeah, he's a great character overall, more of an offensive character than a defensive one. But even if you want to stick on defense with like SWGOH, Omicron, or Trey Omicron, he can be a powerhouse back there as well. So let's take a look at the requirements. Very, very generous requirements, I think. A lot of great characters in here. Not too high relic levels, no relic 8s, no relic 9s. Like the highest relic level we've got is 7 on. Who we got it on? We've got it on Palpatine, Vader, Sidious, and Jedi Knight Anakin. We've got relic 6 here on Thrawn and Dooku. Oh, we've got 7 on Marauder as well. I've missed that. So we've got 7 on Vader, Palpatine, Sidious, and Jedi Knight Anakin. 6 on Thrawn, Dooku. 5 on Piet. 4 on Krennic, Maul, and then 3 on Royal Guard, Tarkin, Viz, and Stark. And then of course the TIE bombers there that I think you do need either 4 or 5 star. Can't remember off the top of my head, but no matter what it says, I didn't write the number there because I want you to farm it to 7 stars no matter what, because it will eventually be needed for the Executor, where it will say 5 stars that it is needed at, but it is needed at 7 to unlock the Executor. So just farm up to 7 stars is the easiest way to do it. And what I like most, and one of the reasons that I like Sith Eternal over somebody like SLKR as your first collector legend, is because when you get SLKR, right, the requirements, you get 2 teams. You get the SLKR team and maybe like a Phasma lead team, right? 2 very strong teams, don't get me wrong, especially in Territory War. That Phasma team is great. But what I like about this one is you get the baseline of some teams, right? So you get this Emperor Palpatine Vader team, right, as your first one. You get Imperial Troopers team, you get a team you can stick Anakin on, and you get this Sith team at the bottom. So we want to be getting rid of those other 4 characters because they're pretty trash, to be fair. Darth Maul's not going to really find a place on the team. Krennic definitely isn't. The TIE Bomber, it's going to go in a fleet, but it's a pretty endgame Chimera fleet that it's needed for. And then Royal Guard, you can swap and change him around with Tarkin up here in this Empire team. But I prefer to go with Tarkin just because he gets out more debuffs, so Vader can do more with his Culling Blade. So we're going to want to fill in these teams in, of course. On this first team, we've shoved Mara Jade on the end. She's a great support character. She gets that stagger, gets the stuns, tenacity down. She's great. Could do a lot of work, especially, or even at low stars, I should say, and low gear. Of course, you want her at higher gear and stars just because of the health and protection mainly. But she does a great job, even at those low stars, of just getting those debuffs out there. She has great synergy with Palpatine as well, if you have a look at the uniques. And overall, this is a solid team. It was great for me at the start, and honestly, it's probably one of my favourite teams that I've used. It's just very fun. Next up, you've got that Imperial Troopers team. So we've got the 3 needed for Sith Eternal, being Viz, Piet, and Stark. And then your best duo you want to stick on the end of that is Gideon and Dark Trooper. Dark Trooper hits like a truck. Gideon's great at controlling turn meter, and of course, one of them's a droid. One's got a leader tag. They can't go with Iden, so you want to stick them with Viz. Jedi Anakin's going to find his home on a Padme team early on. You will see why in a moment, why we've done this, so I won't go into it too detail right now because you will see it in a moment. And finally, the Sith. I know this isn't the ideal Traya team. You want Nihilus, you want Scion, you want Talon on there. But for an early game player, you're going to get Traya from the guild rewards anyway. It's inevitable. Savage is a very easy farm, and an insanely strong Omicron, especially for a squad arena character. So definitely pick him up no matter what you are farming. And then just want to stick these 3 Sith there, because yes, they are not the ideal lineup, but 2 Relic 7s and a Relic 6, you can't really go wrong, and I found them to be amazing together. So let's jump into the farming plan. We've got an Arnold inspired farming plan kind of thing here with the flow diagram. So the first 3 teams we're going to be wanting to farm. These are the teams you want to be getting right out the gate. These are your Imperial Troopers, your Phoenix Squadron, and your Geonosians. Of course, I've got the six members of the oh well, there is 7 now with Captain Rex. To be fair, I probably should have put them in there, but for space reasons, the 6 made more sense, and these guys are much easier to farm because they're not the double drop at the moment. Of course, if you're watching this in like a year's time, Captain Rex will probably should be in this list, especially when he's double drop farm. But the 5 I would go for, if you're not planning on farming Captain Rex and getting his Omicrons later on, is Zeb, Hera, Ezra, Kanan, and Chopper. Because they're the only ones that aren't on hard nodes. Sabine is, which makes her a bit of a pain to farm, but she's a better character, to be fair. Just more difficult to farm and is more resource intensive to farm because you could be using that energy in places like your Imperial Troopers or your Geos. So I would ignore Sabine and get the other 5. Because of course they are needed to unlock Thrawn, which you do need the Phoenix Squadron to do, but then again, you also need Rebels to farm Emperor Palpatine, so you will eventually get him anyway. Just by going for Thrawn with this team, because you need lower gear Rebels than you do for the Phoenix Squadron with Thrawn, if that makes sense. And then we also get 2 Jedi from farming the Phoenix Squadron, which then we are going to farm up Ahsoka. We are going to farm up Jedi Anakin, of course, because these are a requirement. Ahsoka, because she's got on that Padme team we just talked about, and GK you're getting from Rey, just like you will Traya eventually. Which then, since we found the Geos already, we're going to have a team to do the Padme event, which then, of course, gives us Padme. The 5 Jedi give us Grandmaster Yoda, and then we just use those other 3 Jedi we farmed up to complete that team. Of course, they're all Galactic Republic Jedi, so they just work well there. This team has been amazing for me, and it has only been recently my own roster, a few months after unlocking Sith Eternal, that I've actually just took Grandmaster Yoda off this team for a Jedi Revan team. But the Geos are crucial to farm early on for a character you will actually use in Sith Eternal's team, which is Wat Tambor. You need the Geos at about gear 12 to be able to actually farm your own Wat Tambor shards in the Darkside GLTB node. So definitely farm them up. These 3 are probably a very amazing teams, especially if you have Captain Rex on this Phoenix. Imperial Troopers are just going to carry you through Galactic War early on, because of course you can't summon until you're level 85. So definitely look at these 3 teams if you are planning on farming Sith Eternal. And then we are going to finish off this Empire team in the middle here with Vader and Tarkin, who are of course needed for Sith Eternal. Tarkin you're going to farm, I think he's in Galactic War Store or Squad Arena Store, one of the 2. Vader you're going to get from achievements and from your Fleet Arena currency. And then Mara Jade, of course, you are going to farm her up, as I said earlier, at low stars, just for that stagger, just for the stun and the tenacity down. Okay, so I have removed my face cam for this next part, just because I'm going to get in the way of the farming plan. I don't really want to at the moment, because, it's more important that you see what's going on in that top right corner than my face. So next up, we're going to be using either this Empire team or this Imperial Troopers team to farm up R2-D2 across a very easy event. But you can use either of these teams to get it. And then we are going to farm up these other 4 rebels, those being Stormtrooper Han, Farmboy Luke, Princess Leia, and Old Ben. Other things we're going to farm up at this point are your Ewoks. You could get Princess Nisa in there for the C3PO event, but this is the team I did it with. And then your Bounty Hunters. You can use any combination, but those 3 Darkside ones at the top, being Bosk, Boba, and Dengar, are important to get the Executor later on, so it gives you that, that foundation to farm them. And then Grief and Mando will just make the Chewbacca event so much easier. So those 3 teams are going to get you Commander Luke, get you C3PO, and get you Chewbacca. So you're going to finish that team off with your Han, who again, just like Traya, just like who was the other character? Just like GK, that's who it were. So Traya, GK, and Han are all the guild characters, so you're going to get them easily over time, especially if you join a guild ASAP. And then sadly, you've got to farm 3PO and Chewie on a hard node, but it's not too bad. So then remembering back to the graphic on like the last little bit where we had the useful characters and then got rid of the 4 useless ones. These are your last 3 useful characters that we have not discussed yet. So Sith Marauder, Sidious, and Count Dooku. And if you remember, those are going on a team with Traya and Savage. Probably the best team you can get with those characters, otherwise they do become useless. So that's why you're going to be sticking them with them for now, until you can eventually get your hands on Nihilus, Scion, and Talon. And then, of course, we have the 4 duds at the bottom, being Royal Guard, Krennic, Darth Maul, and Imperial TIE Bomber. So that's our entire plan farm. So the teams we've got out of this, we've got an Empire team, an Imperial Troopers team, a Geonosians team, a Padme team, CLS team, a Bounty Hunters team, and I suppose even a Phoenix Squadron. So that's 7 good squads you've got for Grand Arena. Very solid squads as well for Grand Arena. The only ones that aren't amazing is probably the Phoenix and maybe the Geonosians, but they're not bad. So then bringing all of these characters together, you know, all from different places on this farming plan, we do finally get ourselves Sith Eternal Emperor, who we will be using with Wat Tambor and the Armorer. So let's fill the rest of that back in so you have a full farming plan like screen. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, you know, note down what time of the video it is so you can do that. And then let's bring myself back in. So yeah, very solid farming plan. I think the best you've got for Sith Eternal. And the next question is, why Wat Tambor and the Armorer? Why are they the characters you want to be using on the team with her? So of course Wat Tambor has this mass manufacturer unique, which pretty much he gets a bonus turn at the start. He can give out either a med pack, a shield generator, or a weapons mod. And the one we're going to be focusing on here for Sith Eternal is the shield generator. So he recovers that extra protection at the end of each turn, or at the start of his turn, sorry. But most importantly, he dispels his own debuff, so he can't be ability blocked, you know, when he's wanting to link, when he's wanting to mass assist, or when he's wanting to do his big zap ultimate kill thing. Which makes Wat Tambor honestly a must-have for him. You don't need the armor as much. You can get away with it with just Wat Tambor, but the duo of both of them means he can counter stronger teams. But Wat Tambor on his own with Sith Eternal will do just fine. And then the reason we want the armor is because of this Earn Your Signet ability. But pretty much over time she gets stacks of Beskar armor on herself, but then she can pass those to other allies. So with 1 stack we're getting extra defense and max health. With 2 stacks we're still getting the effects of the 1 stack, but we are also recovering that 30% protection at the end of the turn, which again, paired with the protection recovery from the shield generator, is great. And then most importantly, when we get that 3 stacks on, we're getting that counter chance, so we're always going to be giving out that deceived if the enemies get rid of it. And then it can't be critically hit just for that survivability. So let's move on to the modding for Sith Eternal. This is actually my mod set on my own Sith Eternal, so you know, this is actually what I use and not just what I preach. So we've got, of course, on the square and the diamond, we have offense and defense primaries respectively. Then on everything else, we have health. He's one of the only characters I wouldn't really use a speed mod on, just because the health mod is just so much stronger for him. He gets more out of it and that more survivability. So then, of course, we want speed secondaries. My 10 speed here isn't great, but 18, 26 is amazing. 16 is nice. 17, 27, not 23, sorry. So we've got a couple of decent mods, a couple of okay ones, and then not a great one on my health. I do need to work on my modding for my Sith Eternal, but that's the basics of what you want. And then on your other secondaries other than speed, because you want speed on every single one of them, you want to be getting as much protection and health as possible, realistically. But it won't really matter that much, but because you're not always going to have perfect mods, you don't have all that money and crystals to spend on it. But definitely just make sure you focus on as much speed as you can on the secondaries, I would say, and maybe as much protection. So next up, we have what is actually next after Sith Eternal. What can you do? So these are the main paths that I would consider going down. I'm not going to go into it in detail because it is your own roster at the end of the day. Do what you want. But the path that I've started on is getting Jedi Knight Revan. And once I've finished my next major farm, I'm going to go back and get Darth Revan and Malak, I'm pretty sure. Just because Malak is great on a Sith Eternal team in like Squad Arena. You know, him and Darth Revan are his own team in Grand Arena. He's just insanely strong. But the path that I chose was actually farming the Executor down here. You know, just so I could get that extra crystal income. And even just farming the Executor has actually made me want to farm the Profundity, because it is the better ship. It is the more difficult one to get compared to the Executor, but you will always be in the top 3. Pretty much if you have a Profundity until you start coming against Leviathans, but you won't have to worry about that for a long time, I promise you. So what I would say to do is farm one of these 2 big galactic, pretty much galactic legend level ships. Executor is easy. You will have that foundation there with like Vader's needed for it. You'll have Bosk, you'll have Boba, you'll have Dengar. You know, you've got that foundation, the TIE Bomber as well. But other options you could go for: Gas, the Inquisitors. The Inquisitors, of course, great for guilds, especially for farming Reaver. Gas, just because he's incredibly strong. And then if you want to go for a galactic legend, the ones you're going to want to be looking at either SLKR, just because he's probably the easiest one to get, and again gives you those 2 teams. Or the route that I would go down if you wanted to go straight into another galactic legend is go for this like Trinity of galactic legends, where you're grabbing Jabba first, then JML, and then Layer. In like, it'll take you years, but you will eventually get them, just because they've got so much overlap in their farms, and they're just so strong. But that is about everything that I wanted to say in this video. If you have any more questions about Sith Eternal, I've spent long enough farming him, so I will probably be able to answer them. Please let me know in the comments below. But if you've found this video helpful in any way, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It really will help the channel grow so much. The growth rate is so fast right now, and it has been absolutely amazing. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.